I'm going to go ahead and call to order at 5:05. And if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and move right on to agenda item C, which is public comment. We do offer both in-person and virtual public comment. So I will ask if there's anybody in person to provide comment today.
No, we have no in-person attendees.
Okay, great. Thank you, Devin. All right, so we will open it up for virtual public comment. So if you are interested in providing comment, the directions are on the screen, but please go ahead and raise your hand. Devin will make sure you unmute. And we would appreciate you providing both name and address prior to that comment. So we will open that up now.
Seeing no hands, I think we can move on.
All right, thank you, Devin. Next item is agenda item D, which is minutes. So could I have a motion to approve the attached July 6, 2022 minutes?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
I actually have something on that, Meg.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Beth, please.
Yeah, I talked to Kat real quick just to run through that, but the other day. So under G2 new business, there was discussion indicated in the minutes by Michael and Johnny, and I just wanted to make sure that my comment that was made that evening was also noted.
Okay.
And I did provide it to Kat just so she has it, but basically I think it might have been between Michael and Johnny's comments. I just expressed concern from the Board of Education's perspective
Okay.
about the extent of the items and the features that have been value engineered, cut, you've heard it,
Yep.
and the add alternate list and kind of what that means for the overall project and kind of with respect to what the board voted on and community voted on last year. Yeah, and I think that covers it. So just some notation of the concern there from the board's perspective.
Okay, great. Is that text that you'd sent on specifically, or do you want to just capture the idea with the as an amendment to the motion?
Well, I'd like it, yeah, to be added, and just so Kat has it clear, I did send it to her in an email.
Okay.
Because I know it can be awkward to go through, you know, verbatim during the meeting, but that's most of it.
That's fine. Is that you all set, Kat? You have what you need?
We need, so we can incorporate that if the committee wants to approve as amended, or you can also the next time and I can put it back on to see the language. Up to you.
I think we're comfortable based on Beth being able to re-express the concerns here at a high level, that we can ask the committee to approve as amended. I think that are you comfortable with that, Beth?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's got what I basically read you what I sent Kat. So
okay, perfect. Okay, any other further discussion? All right, so we are asking the committee to approve the motion with the amendment as provided by Beth. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, approved. All right, we'll move right on to item E, which is correspondence received from July 1st to July 18th of 2022. So we did have included in our agenda packet 2 comments that we have listed there. So hopefully we have all had an opportunity to read through those as a committee. And we're all set with responses there, Kat?
We do owe one response. I did have some of the professional partners provide an answer for me, so we're just putting that all together and are sending it out. And that was for the first one for Julie Gold.
Perfect.
Meg,
Yes.
Beth again. I might be missing it, but I looked for the correspondence as I usually do in the agenda packet and I didn't see it. It goes right from, at least when I'm looking at, it goes right from the minutes from July 20th to the
It's usually
attachment.
kind of a snapshot view. I think I saw them right there.
Oh, okay. So it's E2. I apologize. Okay.
That's okay. No, I'd rather have you ask. And
I will find it. As long as it's there, I will find it. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. All right. And I, just per usual, I take the opportunity now to make sure that people know that this is an opportunity for people to use that online form that we have on our landing page to certainly communicate with us questions like this. And we'll do everything we can to respond back in collaboration with our partners to make sure we have a complete, thorough answer for you. So great opportunity to ask questions and stay engaged with the committee. So we really appreciate the community continue to use that, and just a great resource overall. All right, so why don't we go right into item F, which is reports. F1 is chair report. I have nothing specific this evening to include for discussion. So we're going to move right on to item 2, which is town council liaison report. So Johnny.
Yeah, there's not much to report on my end either. Our next meeting's actually canceled. We won't be meeting until September.
Okay, any questions for Johnny? All right, we'll move right on to F2, which is Board of Education Liaison Report. So Sarah.
Oh, did Beth want to take that?
Either one. It doesn't matter to me. We're good. Okay, Beth, you want to jump in?
We probably have the same updates normally
Yeah.
that pertains to the,
Yes.
to the building committee, but very much in line with what our timeline with the building committee. We just met the Board of Education just met prior to this meeting and voted to approve the project final plans, the project manuals for bidding, and the cost estimate for the upcoming state meeting with the state. So we're all set there. There was some discussion. There was a short presentation by Richard to get everyone kind of up to speed as far as what they were voting on. And there were some questions about alternates and different things. And Kathy fielded some questions. So that's all taken care of at this point.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Beth? All right, so we'll move right on to F4, which is 1928 Building Committee Liaison Report.
Yeah, thank you, Meg. The 1928 Building Committee met on July 12th, and the meeting started with a sort of brief overview from Kathy about her initial meetings and discussions with town departments, specifically probate rec services with regards to needs, space needs, and going forward. Identified a number of things in terms of security, conference room doors, vaults, storage, and the reception room, and just gave us a brief high-level overview of those ongoing discussions in terms of the space needs. The bulk of our meeting was spent in an executive session where we reviewed our scoring for the responses for architectural design and engineering services, at which point in time the results of that were that we're going to bring back 3 firms for interviews and consideration. That's QA&M, Silver Petrocelli, and Krosky Architects. That will take place at our next meeting on the 26th, where they'll be interviewed and hopefully selection will be made.
All right, great. Thank you, Chris. Any questions? All right, we'll move right on to the owner's rep report. Mark?
Sure. So we have been preparing documents for the OSCGR meeting coming up on Tuesday, I should say. Sam's been doing a lot of that work for us, working with TSKP to put all those documents together in preparation for Tuesday. Our working group did meet last week. We had 2 agenda items. First, we reviewed the alternates list and started to begin priority discussions. So what was most important? And we heard from different stakeholders in terms of what those lists would look like. We'll continue that conversation together again in the future. TSKP made a preliminary presentation of the interior design concepts. We reviewed those design concepts. The working group had prepared and provided rather feedback. TSKP is now back in the, taking that feedback and revising those presentations in preparation for a presentation to this committee. We did revise the BE grant list, which we distributed. Is it actually in this agenda?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. On that in the agenda. The professional partner teams meets every Monday. We had met on, brought in all our third-party consultant reviewers as well. So we just received our PR letter from Versteeg on the code review. So we are planning to meet with the AJs, the town officials, for sign-offs on Monday. We're going to get that document into their hands for early review. So we'll have the building official, fire marshal, and the ADA compliance together on Monday, and then later that day we'll meet with the health department and give sort of a page turn presentation and answer any questions to get health department sign off. Those are all requirements of meeting on Tuesday with the state. We are preparing to have a page turn with town engineering, Russ and his team, so that that meeting we're going to ask for potentially Monday. We're going to check with our other consultants to see if they're available, and we'll check with Russ to see if that works with them. And then we're going to be looking to have an ed-spec review meeting in the weeks ahead, just to kind of finalize where those ed-specs sit today, and so that's up and coming. That's it for us.
Great, thank you, Mark. Any questions? All right, why don't we move right on to architect report?
Great, thanks very much. Hello, everyone, again. Right here, center stage in the middle of the room, you see a wagon full of plans and specifications. It's a lot of material. I've prepared a brief presentation of what's contained in these documents. You were given links to PDF versions of these documents. I didn't expect everyone to spend all of their time going through each and every document, but that's why you hired professionals, reviewers, independent code reviewers, third-party reviewers, and why you relied on school personnel, school administration, department heads, faculty, staff, director of facilities, Sam, Matt, Ross, they've done page turns on all these documents. You're relying on all of that personnel to do those thorough reviews. We've been at this, we had a brief chat for the meeting. We've been at this for 3 years. And it took that amount of time to get to this point. And we also went through the COVID pandemic. There was a brief pause in activity by this committee. But we're at this point when we're about to present to the state on Tuesday. We have an appointment there. And we expect that the state will have comments. We expect that they will say, you are incomplete on following items. Please go back and come back again. This is pretty standard, so don't be surprised if you get that kind of commentary from the state reviewers. And then we usually go back very quickly, depending on the number of comments, maybe a week later, and show where we've made revisions. And then at that point, they will accept the plans and specs for a thorough review, and then we expect a response from the state. And according to the schedule, we expect that review to be done in August. So then we can then proceed to turn the documents over to OG. We will probably have to edit a few of these documents to meet the state's requirements. So even though these documents are dated July 15th, 2022, which is the version that you are approving, we will not come back to you for reapproval. We will just incorporate those requests for changes made by the state, and then we'll add a revision date on the documents, but they don't need to come back to you because there won't be really a scope change. It will be a technical nature. I did prepare a brief presentation, which Kevin, if you could bring up, just to give you an overview and to make part of the record. I made the same presentation a few minutes ago before the Board of Education. And at the end of that, the Board of Education voted unanimously to approve the plans and specs. So good job, Kathy Reeder. It was a unanimous vote. So anyway, so this is the documents that we're presenting this evening. It's called the CE set, meaning the construction documents set. It contains 4 volumes of drawings over 630 sheets, 4 volumes of specifications over 3,000 pages, as well as the project budget. Next, if you were to go through the PDF drawings, you would see that there are 4 volumes have independent titles, title cover sheets with an index of drawings on the right-hand side. You'll see also that on the cover, we have 2 projects. Farmington High School, phase 2 of 4. Remember, phase 1 was already bid and is underway now on the site. Plus FPS, or Farmington Public Schools Central Office, phase 1 of 3. And this is consistent with what the state agreed. We could bundle it all into one set of documents, even though they're being funded as separate grants. Next. These are just some excerpts from the documents. You've seen some of these before. These drawings, which have the prefix L for landscape drawings, have already gone through site plan approval by town planning and zoning. There's really no change in what we have seen before. Next. And then there are technical drawings. These happen to be architectural drawings, prefix A. And there's many, many architectural drawings. These are just the floor plans. Floor plans show all the dimensions, where the partitions are, where the walls are, the column locations, and so on. And these are just the plans. There are also plans for the central office building as well that are bundled in this set. Next. This is the next floor. Next. And then the 3rd floor. The scope is the same as what you've seen before. But in these drawings, next, we have, for example, this is a P drawing. This represents a plumbing engineering drawing. And it shows the mechanical room on the left-hand side, as well as typical bathroom plumbing configuration, as well as custodial areas. Next. And we have AV drawings for audiovisual drawings showing audiovisual equipment and where the outlets are located in the rooms. This one happens to be a drawing that shows the size of the projection screen in the auditorium. Next. And then accompanying the plans are the specifications. We happen to have 4 volumes of specifications as well. And these are divided into traditional trade divisions. Again, plumbing, architectural, structural, etc. Next, I just want to remind the committee that in the specs are the specifications for the alternates. Not only are they listed here in this spec section, but they're also identified on the drawings. We designate with clouds or some circle around the device, the area that is part of the alternate package. You've seen these before. There are 10 alternates. And there's one alternate number 8, which is deleting the abatement and demolition of area G. That is presumably a defect alternate. I can't imagine a contractor would add, but who knows. All the rest of them we expect will be add alternates. That's it for me. Any questions?
Respect to the demo, not necessarily all the people, but that's in the drawings as well. Is there a schedule of demolition of the?
Yes, we indicate the area of demolition. We also have in here the abatement specifications for the abatement that needs to be done. So that's all included. The demolition scope is removal of everything, including foundations, the pipe tunnels, as well as utilities that are going to be abandoned.
Except the 900 wing, which becomes area F, that's selectively demo. Separate set of demo plans for the central office budget.
Question about the meeting that's scheduled. Who feels that you go in that meeting with them, or you have it reviewed and they come in with comments, or do they have a conversation with you and then issue their comments later?
Well, we have gone through the project with them previously at the schematic level. DD level, design development level. So they're somewhat familiar with the scope of the work. The CD level, they haven't seen these drawings at all.
So what's their time frame if they're they are required to give comments back?
Usually within 2 weeks. I have my fingers crossed.
Michael, there's several state forms, documents that we review each one of those. They look at how they're filled out. We have very specific areas that they kind of zoom in on. And so
Just shocked they get something done too.
Yeah. Well, this is not DOT. So,
No.
yeah. Yeah, no problem. But thank you.
Congratulations on completing.
It's a big milestone.
All right, great. Any other final questions for Richard? We'll actually, this, in our new business section is actually when we'll call for motion for approval, but just want to make sure if anybody has any other questions, you can certainly raise them now or later too when we open up the motion. All right, great. Thank you, Richard. So why don't we move right on to item number 7, F7, which is construction manager report.
Sure. Mark Jeff goes on vacation this week, in case anybody's wondering where he is, but that's where he is. So as far as we've been supporting the effort that's being made to go to the state with the cost estimating and putting our particular spec sections as part of this set as well. I do want to start engaging what we need to do for OSTA approval. I think we need to start pushing that. We're at about the point where we're going up to the state and we know that they're going to be wanting their approval. Hopefully they'll let us go out to bid without having it in hand because we're looking to go out to bid in 3 weeks, but I think we want to start pushing that. I think we've done it, the design team has done everything they can at this point to satisfy the application. So now it's just getting it through the system. Other than that, from a scheduling standpoint, that's about it. And I'll let Nelson speak to what's going on with phase 1.
Good evening. As far as phase 1, I'll just give a quick summary of events the past 2 weeks. We did start handing out flyers. Johnny was there. We got stopped. We actually started at Briarwood, and there was a microburst of a storm. We got drenched, but we were able to start dialogue with the neighbors. We had a good 15-20-minute discussion and then ran back to our cars. And that's when power went down in the Highlands. We are going to continue those flyer handouts. They were posted on social media, but we're going to proceed with to Knollwood and then around to Ledgewood, and then we'll end up at River Road. What we're emphasizing to the neighbors and the walkers, I've been on site over the weekend and talking to people, and it's the access to the site. There are still some cutoff points that you can get on Campbellwood and on Ledgewood as well. There are paths that are wide and they actually end up on the upper fields. So during the summer, they still have access to the campus. And at the start of the school year, we're letting them know that the two existing paths that the walkers use, those will be back online for the start of school year, and also not just the walkers, the senior citizens that also use the campus and the athletic fields. As far as work related items, the work did start on the 11th. They have completed all the stripping of the topsoil, river construction, and they've done all the tree cutting, tree clearing. Next week, they'll start on the precast drainage and piping. The structures are going to start coming in. We're going to have to do a little bit of coordination with the tennis court use. Currently, they're using the side parking lot, but we're going to relocate them closer to the school and create a pathway, a zone pathway where they can access the tennis courts. So that won't be an issue. So that work is at the top of Monteith, which it'll take a little bit of coordination and traffic control up top. Permanent fencing is starting next week. The site lighting is being relocated and all the items were salvaged, granite curbs, the baseball equipment. We had meetings with Russ's team. So all those items are salvaged and put to the side. That's pretty much it. We're working with the design team. They're, as the submittals come in for product approval, they're quickly turning it around. No issues with that. And pretty much everything, the site plannings are under review. But for the most part, all the submittals are in, so there are no procurement issues. And that's it for the work taking place. No questions.
Circling back to OSTA, I know I spoke to Russ early last week, and he reached out to a couple people at SLR that have the best connections. I have not heard back. I know that Mark, you emailed, I don't know if he responded to you or not.
Not yet. Yeah.
But that, we did have that conversation, and I know because the gentleman that handles at SLR I do work with on other projects, so it came up in our conversation, so they are on it. What we're waiting for is a response from them to see if we need to get involved from the council side or the manager side. So I'll follow up on that.
One other point that I did miss, we are going to participate in the August 18th parent. There's going to be parent meetings. So as far as community outreach, talking with parents on the 18th, that's at 6 p.m.
Yes.
So we'll answer that parents might have prior to the start of the school year. That's all I have.
I think it's also important to note that we had members of SLR and we're seeking out to do an inspection of progress to date. That was today. And then Tri-State is been secured by Gerber. So Tri-State's they do the turbidity tests, so their inspections of the
They'll do
erosion
routine
control.
inspections and after a major rain events. And SLR will follow up with a report. We provided some recommendations and they agreed. So we're proceeding with them, but they'll issue a report.
Any other questions? All right, excellent. Thank you so much. We'll move on to communications subcommittee report. This one's going to be short. We actually ended up, unfortunately, having to cancel the meeting that was scheduled just prior to this one due to some scheduling and some other restrictions we had. So the agenda will move to our next scheduled meeting so that we can address those topics. So no updates on communications at this time. So why don't, and I'm going to actually say the same about item 9, which is professional partnership subcommittee report. We have not met recently, so no additional report out there. So final report is financial report. Kat?
I don't have any update for tonight. We are working on inputting all of these invoices that we are going to approve tonight into the invoice tracking. I know when I spoke to CSG recently, they are also tracking it for reimbursement purposes. So that will be on our next one.
Right. Any questions for Kat on the financial report? All right, so let's move right into new business for this evening. So first order of business is item G1. So could I get a motion to approve the following invoice package as stated on the agenda?
Second.
I'm going to open that up for discussion. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, we'll move right on to item G2. So as we mentioned before, this is the next step to our update from Richard. Could I get a motion to approve final plans and project manuals as prepared for bidding and dated July 15, 2022, and the professional cost estimate dated July 15, 2022 for FHS state project number 052-0076N and 052-0077 BOE Phase 2 construction. All right, we'll open this up for discussion one more time, just in case there's any final questions based on the presentation that Richard provided, as well as all the documentation and links that we received as a committee.
Just have one question, just to follow up from our last subcommittee. Those things that were interiors in nature, I think we're looking at some alternates or things. How will those be?
So we have, the documents do not reflect any colors.
Gotcha.
They only reflect the basic materials. We do owe you a revision or an update on the color palette patterns that were presented previously. That's in the works. I verified with.
They're not critical in this process.
Not critical to this process, no, but we would like to incorporate that into the bidding. We want to make sure that at some point.
So it's not in the specs.
So what we have in the specs is what you saw, but it's no colors.
Okay.
So what we need to incorporate is a base design pattern that has not been incorporated yet. We'll give you a peek at that on July the 29th. I confirm.
And that ultimately get folded into.
And ultimately will get folded.
Okay.
That's correct. So
For
you'll
the
have
purposes of what we need to do with the state,
this is fine for the
and the
state.
other stuff will come up later.
That's correct.
Just a technicality on the motion. Phase 2 is the high school, it's phase 1 of the Board of Ed, so I don't know if that matters. Supposed to match, but that's two different things.
So you would need phase 2 and phase 3?
It's,
No.
no, it's phase 2 of the high school, and it's phase 1 of the Board of Ed.
Yeah, I would suggest after the number, the project number, you insert phase 2 construction. After, let's say, after 052-0076N phase 2 construction and project 052-0077 BOE phase 1 construction.
Yes.
Does that, oh, sorry, Kathy, go ahead. You're ahead of me.
Well, we use this motion for our Board of Ed motion,
Yeah.
because that's the motion that was given to us.
SCG 042 is the important piece.
What's that?
For the state, the SCG 042 is the important piece. The motion can be corrected if needed, but that's.
Yeah,
They're never gonna see a motion.
yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay,
The motion's
sorry. I rescind my comments.
No, it's good.
So should we alter the motion as we have it stated, or they probably should be the same, is what I'm hearing, versus compared to what was previously approved, correct?
Keep them consistent.
Okay. All right, any other questions or thoughts before we go ahead and vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, so let's move on to our final piece of business, which is G3. So could I get a motion to award a contract to Independent Materials Testing Laboratories, Inc. for on-call materials testing services for phase 1 early enabling in the amount not to exceed $5,000 under the State of Connecticut DAS contract 19 PS X0223.
Second.
I'm going to open this up for discussion. I don't know, Mark, if you want to provide us just a little more detail behind this before we go ahead and vote.
Sure. So the project requires that we have a third-party independent materials testing laboratory that's hired by or an independent materials testing company that's hired by the owner and not by the contractor to review materials. They take tests, samplings of the any earth that's being brought in or any of the existing earth that's been stockpiled and hoped to be reused under, for example, the subbase under the parking lot, things like that. They have to test for things like compaction and material makeup. Into the main project, they'll be doing things like taking samples of the concrete, and they'll test the brakes and the strength of the concrete over a certain amount of time so that we know that the concrete that was installed is actually meets specifications, meets the strength that it's required to meet to support the weight of the building, those kinds of things, and that the mix that was provided at the time the truck arrived didn't fail in any way. And so if those brakes come back and not meeting those, then that material can't stay and would need to be replaced. And so it's sort of a fail-safe for the owner to ensure that that materials that are being installed in the project are being tested and actually provided what you're buying and what's been specified to meet the project specs. And so for this case, there'll be some subbase under the parking lot. There's going to be material under the sidewalk and the utilities, site utilities, and they'll test compaction as well. So it's compacting that material and make sure that the material is compacted to an appropriate level. And that's why, so in this case, we're allowed to, the state has state contracts already in place with different unit pricing for different types of tests. And there are several contractors that are pre-approved by the state to use. And so we can go out to state contract instead of having to go out to bid. IMTL is right around the corner. We, for this particular small project, have asked IMTL to provide those state rates, which is what you see in there, and a copy of their contract, or they reference their contract number with the state. So we're just asking for a purchase order. They have a budget amount of $3,000 to $4,000. We thought 5,000 was a safe number. If the O&G doesn't require, or the project itself doesn't require as much testing, we stay under that $5,000 purchase order. What will happen is we'll close that purchase order, and any remaining dollars or unspent dollars will go back to the contingency line item, the owner contingency line item, and then we'll issue a second purchase order for the main, for phase 2 construction of FHS and phase 1 of central office.
It's just a one-time testing, or do they do over a period of time?
So anytime so the specifications call for materials that need to be tested, and so it'll be O&G and their subcontractors' responsibility to make sure that they call the, hey, we're going to be, we'd like to provide a sample of materials we'd like to use under the parking lot. They'll provide a sample. That sample will be tested. They'll identify that sample. They'll do a sieve test. Check the granulars in the earth, and then what they'll do is they'll approve that, and then we're good to go on installing it. Then they'll come back, and they might do a compaction test if it's required, make sure that it's a solid base for when they put the asphalt down. So it's on a as needed, as required basis, and O&G makes the call to say, hey, we need you on site tomorrow. And they come in, and it's usually a 4-hour window or something like that.
We'll follow the specifications, the testing that's delineated here, and when the big project goes out, there'll be a statement of special inspections with intervals and concrete every time it's placed has to be tested, so that down the road you don't have failures, and, or such as the compactions. You don't have holes opening up in them. It's a verification.
So we're gonna have similar time in phase 2 as well.
Yes, you definitely need testing on things.
I look at the steel welds, I look at all.
Oh, that's what it was. The fight doesn't seem to really, that's for the whole.
It's verification of quality, the quality control.
This is, yeah, this is just the name of it.
It's only for phase one, right?
Correct, yeah.
Because I just noticed that, I guess these rates are, these prices are only good.
That's that their contract ends in 1 year, and then they'll just renew another contract with the state, but we require that they identify their contract number with the state and the time that it runs out, so we know that we're good for now. Right, we're good for this enabling, right, so when we write the next purchase order, which would probably be more like $60,000, and, you know, we'll have a conversation about whether we go out to bid or not. We'll still utilize the state contract, but we'll ask again, whoever it is, whether it's IMTL or another provider, to give us that contract number, and it'll have, you know, we'll need to make sure that that contract is in place for the duration of the project, so they'll need to.
Yeah, it'll be the same contract and it'll just end when it ends, and then a new one will start with the state for another 3-year period. They do chunks like that.
I'm just wondering if the rates are going to stay the same.
Oh,
I'm asking.
who knows?
For this phase one.
For this.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Phase
the
one,
rates are-
yes.
yes.
I guess
Phase
it's a
one,
little bit
yeah.
more, yeah.
We go out again for the next phase.
That's right, okay, so that's why I just wanted clarification, I assume that this is just for phase one, and when phase two comes, no, I know that's
And-
not.
We have the option for awarding off the state contract or going out to bid and getting proposals like we've done before.
Right.
For a dollar value of not to exceed 5,000, it makes sense to go, you know, and phase one is already in progress, it makes sense to go off the DAS contract. But we can discuss that option when it gets closer for the next phase.
Negotiate, but if it's through the process, then we don't really have to negotiate, but we have options to compare pricing, right? State contracts are usually, you might see some unit pricing for some tests with one company a little higher than another, but then other tests a little lower, they tend to like sort of average out. The DAS companies, so, and there's you'll see a lot of rates in here that just won't even apply, but that's all the rates that they have. So there's a handful of tests that will actually be utilized for this abatement.
And this is eligible for reimbursement. Any usage of the state contract is eligible for reimbursement.
All right. Any other final questions before we go ahead and vote? We're all good?
I have a question. It's a question. So it seems to me that trade contractors know what they're doing. They've done this for many years. Have you ever seen a material failure?
Yep.
I have as well. So this is good insurance. Things do happen. Sometimes you don't get the right soils. Sometimes you have a concrete mix that doesn't meet the strength of the concrete and it has to be rejected. So it is good insurance.
Sometimes the contractors wants to reuse an existing material and find out that it's not viable, or doesn't meet the specifications. Yet they're going to be held to the specified materials.
It's good insurance, but it's also a requirement of the building permit. The building permit, when it gets applied, you have to have the statement of special inspection, so it's a requirement that you can't get away with. You don't want to do it, you must have a testing lab, independent testing. You're right. It has to be independent because you don't want the trade contractor to pay for this testing services.
All right. All right, I think we should be all set. So let's go ahead and vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. And just, Devin, just to let you know that Sarah did have to drop off. So just when you're kind of recording votes, just to let you know where we stand there. I mean, I know we still have a quorum, but
Thank you.
this is an FYI. All right, that was our final agenda item for the evening, so I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Opposed? All right, we will adjourn this evening at 5:50.